This was easily one of the best CDs released in 2023, although it went under the radar for many people. Which CD I'm talking about? Of course it is Loulou's Déjà Vu. So let's kick off this episode of SEIYUU Lounge. Welcome to SEIYUU Lounge, I am your host Vanessa and today's topic is Loulou's Déjà Vu. So this is another amazing entry by Loulou in the Think of Me CD series in the Hanadol franchise. Loulou, in case you do not know, is a group featuring vocals by Toshiyuki Toyonaga, Daiki Yamashita and Shunsuke Takeuchi. This is not only one of the best vocal lineups you can find among 2D music franchises, but it is also a group that has one of the best, if not the best, composer for 2D music. And I'm talking about, of course, Takeshi Hama. So we have a match made in heaven on the vocals and the composition side. And as I've told you before, Loulou is an amazing group, releasing songs that no other group out there releases. Their music is completely refreshing. And I'm not saying refreshing because it feels refreshing. It is music that you seldom hear from 2D groups and male SEIYUU artists even. They sound completely new and different in comparison to any other 2D group out there. They are playing in a league of their own, and I pretty much enjoy that they are doing that alone. They are trailing their own path, doing their own things, no pressure whatsoever to be trendy, to sound like anyone wants. They are doing their own thing, focused on storytelling and amazing lyrical performances and music that makes you want to listen to more and more, because there are so many layers of instruments in those songs that really you need to stop and dedicate an afternoon to basically understand everything, or at least most of what is in the composition. And good luck on that, because you will distract yourself constantly with other things happening in the background or with the vocals, because the vocals are really that good. So, in an episode of Monthly Review, I talked extensively about Loulou's Déjà Vu. Unfortunately, that episode should be 1 hour and 20 minutes long only, and if I had to add that full review of the CD, that episode would go way over that time. So I had to trim it to fit in that episode, and I believe that when I was reviewing the footage, I noticed that maybe these can have a second life, because what I said here is interesting, at least for me it was interesting, and I found myself, I was going to check just a part of it to see if it was alright, and I found myself listening and watching myself for the duration of the cut. So if myself, who has to edit the videos, record the videos, edit the sound and everything else, so I need to listen to myself a lot of times and see myself a lot of times, if I still enjoyed it, it's because this is worth sharing. So I want to share with you a super cut, or the original cut, about Loulou's Déjà Vu. Those are my full impressions of the EP, which ended up being cut in that episode to fit the time constraints that I had. From this point on, the episode is going to be viewable, so if you are on Spotify, you will have a viewable episode as well to watch. If you are on YouTube, well, it is time to not leave me in the background as you do other tasks and actually pay a bit of attention for, I should say, 10 to 15 minutes. So let's start that part of the episode. I hope you enjoy it. This is honestly the best, and I'm not even going to spare words in here, the best album that Loulou has released so far. So I am listening to the songs without any context whatsoever about what the story is. Believe me, I do not know what the story is about, but I can grasp some straws in here and catch glimpses of the story through the storytelling in the songs. And I usually tend to say that a good song is a song that makes you feel something, and an amazing song is a song that makes you want to know more about it. This is an album that really goes against everything else out there that 2D groups are creating. This is not necessarily a bad thing. mind you. This is a really good thing that makes Loulou a one-of-a-kind group. And for me, a group being one of a kind is a massive plus, especially if their music is good. And if no one else tries to do what they do, it's because what they are doing is really, really difficult to copy. Or it's too much hassle to even dare copying. In this case, I see that as a positive, because Loulou are basically doing their own thing. They are doing it really well, and they continue to exceed expectations with every single release. And Déjà Vu feels like a wild dream, but yet again, the dreams by Loulou, or the dreams that Loulou create, are not necessarily good ones. You feel as if you are within a nightmare, but it has hints and bits of a dream, but it's not a dream. It is pitch black, it is dark as hell, it goes really, really sorrowful most of the times. And in this case, Déjà Vu is really, really dark, despite not being actively or openly dark about it. When we look back at Arc and Nothing, this CD in comparison sounds, on a first listen, pretty upbeat, pretty cheerful, with quotation marks on cheerful, because it is not cheerful, but it sounds and looks brighter than it should be. Do you get what I mean? This CD sounds like the words and the instrumental are contradicting itself constantly. And this is a really unique feeling that you get in here, and you usually don't get in their music. Usually their music is dark, and then you dive into the lyrics and it is even sadder, even darker, even more sorrowful than you expected. In here, the instrumental doesn't sound dark, it doesn't sound sad, at least, well, let's say, doesn't sound sad, not necessarily. Actually, Invisible Cross sounds sad and sorrowful as hell, but the instrumental itself is not dark. That's the thing in here. So this time around, Takeshi Hama didn't focus too much on making the instrumental too dark or heavily dark, like in Dying Matter, for example. In here, you do not have that darkness openly for you to enjoy, but you have something else. You arrive to a song that is not necessarily sad in its instrumental, but the way it conducts itself, the way the lyrics flow, and the way the song is being performed, you can feel that the song is really, really the saddest that you can get from Loulou. I wrote it in the review that this song will probably make you cry within the very first seconds, and you do not need even much of the vocals to actually start crying. The way the song flows is really, really something that will give you goosebumps all over, and the more the song progresses, the more you're into that, and the more you are in that story and feeling that story, and it gets under your skin. It may make you feel like there's no good ending to that story, and that there's only sorrow waiting for you. It is really, really that type of song. Then again, Loulou are well known for that, and I do appreciate that, because otherwise I would always be talking about music that is uplifting, that is happy, and there's no differentiation in there. In here, Loulou arrive with something that no other group likes to approach, and with a tone that no other group likes to have. And in this case, I do appreciate this a whole lot, because they are not afraid to be all about their storytelling, and their storytelling not being as happy and positive as you would find with other groups. They are showing you a different side, a different story, and a story that you want to engage with because you want to know what comes next, and each CD will really develop what comes next and dive a little bit into the past of these characters. And what you have in front of you usually are desolate soundscapes in which you can only feel destruction, and in here, in Déjà Vu, you have a layer or a veil that is basically masking all that darkness and all that destruction. So apparently everything is okay. The instruments are not necessarily openly dark, but you notice that there is a thin veil masking something behind it, and at times during the song you will see glimpses of that destruction. You will see that happening. A thing that I didn't mention that I do appreciate about this album is that, yet again, there is a recurrent theme going on in here. Since their debut, they have a ticking clock in all their intros. There's always a ticking clock. Time is running out, time to do something, time to go back. There's something here. Of course, I haven't explored this story, so the drama tracks I haven't heard any, so that may be well tied to the story, and I will have to eventually dive into that to understand why the ticking clock is a constant or a memorable element that is present in all of Loulou D's intro songs, and in some releases more than the intro songs. And to tie this all up, Loulou D did something that they usually do not do, which is to bring a song that is a bit daring, romantic, and at the same time a song about betrayal. The song is titled Another Liar, and it is the very first time that Loulou D performed R&B music openly. They have used elements in the past, either in the compositions or in the vocals, but this time around they are not performing in a lyrical style. They do have glimpses of that, but they are adding a bit more of an R&B styling to their performance, which is simpler than usual. This is a song that has a completely different vibe in comparison to Invisible Cross. They almost sound like polar opposites, but if you dive deeper into the CD and actually listen to the two songs with the intro as well, you will understand that they perfectly tie up with each other. They are a continuation of a story, and in this case Another Liar feels like the reaction to betrayal. Even if you are attracted to something or to anything, you feel the betrayal that happened, that you shouldn't have fallen for something, but you did, and there's no way to get that time back, the time that you spent enjoying and liking that person or that thing, and in this way you feel betrayed, and that betrayal is felt throughout the song. There is a darkness going on in there. There are times in which there are glitchy elements in there, broken elements, once again like in the intro, the broken record. There's elements that hint at that broken relationship or that broken affection. It's not there anymore, and you can feel it in there. Still there are remnants of it, because the song continues to hint at that potential romance, potential attraction, but there is that sense of betrayal. So it is a song that explores two feelings that Loulou D hadn't explored up until now: attraction or care and betrayal, and they do it really well throughout this song. At the same time, with the vocals that Loulou D have, R&B music is actually really easy for them to pull off, sounding really amazing. Props in here for Shunsuke Takeuchi, because he's a beast when it comes to R&B music. He has that natural flair, and he likes to riff. You can tell he likes to riff and show off that he has a good voice. Well, if I had his voice, I would show off as well. And he does a really amazing job in there. Daiki Yamashita does an amazing job throughout. However, the show stealer is Toshiki Toyonaga. It's undeniable how amazing he is in Invisible Cross and in Another Liar. It's crazy what he is doing on the vocal end. Yet again, of course, he is the main vocal in the group. Well, it was to be expected. When you are going to add the best singer among male seiyuu to your group, of course he is going to be the lead. But in this case, he delivers something new and amazing with each song, so he keeps you interested in his performances. He doesn't do the same thing twice. He keeps on inventing and reinventing the way he performs, and in this case he does have a really good vocal direction that helps him even achieve bigger and better things on the vocal end. And for songs like Loulou that are really, really intense, really technical and lyrical, which is not usually the blend of singing styles that you would have expected for a 2D group, it does a really amazing job. Yet again, he's an amazing singer, and for these two songs, he's ridiculously good. The high notes, the falsetto, the head voice at times, even the way he harmonizes, the ad-libs in the background, the way he screams in the song, it's crazy. It does an amazing job in these, and I was constantly impressed by the way he was performing. Not to say that the rest of the group was not performing well, they were amazing, and the best thing about Loulou is that they are constantly and consistently amazing, all three members. But in here, really, there's no way around it, because Toshiki Toyonaga gets on the spotlight way too many times, for me, enough times, but he gets to the spotlight and he really steals the show whenever he's there. He has the trickiest parts on the vocal end, he has the highest notes to tackle, he's doing ad-libbing when the others are not necessarily doing ad-libbing. He's doing a lot, not only leading the way, but doing the intangibles in the background, so he's doing a lot, and in this CD, he really is the star. So I feel that his character in Loulou is actually leading the way in this CD, more so than in any other CD that Loulou has released in the past. And of course, this is my take on Loulou's Déjà Vu. This is an album that honestly you need to check. Even what I said and what I wrote don't do it enough justice. This is one of those CDs that you really need to listen and let it sink in, and listen again, and then read the review. Don't check reviews first when you want to listen to the CD, because this is a story and an experience that you need to have without anyone spoiling it. Go into that CD blind, completely, and see what you feel, and then go read reviews, fan theories, and go read all the lore to further understand the songs themselves. It's the best way to do it. And those were my impressions about Loulou's Déjà Vu. This is an album like no other. Honestly, I know that I often say that Loulou's music is really amazing and that this album is really awesome and the next album is also really awesome, and I'm always saying that this is the best they've released, but it's not an understatement, and it's also not me exaggerating. It's actually something that is part of what they do. Each CD they do, they outdo themselves. Since they started, each CD they release usually or quickly becomes their best. There are some exceptions. There were a couple of exceptions midway through their career so far at the time that I'm recording this episode, but usually each album of theirs is always an upgrade, either because the story goes darker and darker, or because the instrumentals are amazing, or the vocals continue to be things and doing things that you were not expecting, of course, that you know that they can pull off, because Toshiki Toyonaga, Shunsuke Takeuchi and Daiki Yamashita are amazing singers, but they continuously improve upon their performances and continue to deliver something that you are not expecting. And at the same time, Takeshi Hama continues to create worlds, really worlds in which you delve into that feel like a nightmare, but at the same time they are dreams. It is really, really odd, and honestly I do enjoy this oddness about their music and how dark they can be, because it is really unique. But at the same time I do understand that some people are not that drawn into dark music and music that is relying a lot on orchestral instruments. So if this is really not your thing, maybe Loulou is not really the group for you. But if you are open to learning new things and learning new music genres, coming across those and observing what is happening and actually appreciating different types of music, this group really delivers on that promise of they have really unique music. While other people may say that, yeah, this 2D group that performs pop music is doing something completely different, they are not actually doing something really different. Unless they are disruptive like Krampf, for example, are being, or like Trigger usually are. Usually pop artists or 2D pop groups are not really disruptive. But a group like LOLO-D is a disruptive group since the start. Their music doesn't fit really a box. They do not really match a style that has been done before. They are really doing unique things on the vocal end, although lyrical style of singing already was being done by Growth in the Tsuki Pro franchise. It was never done in the way they are doing in here. This sounds really like a full-blown orchestra style of performance. They are really doing booming, amazing and mesmerizing things on the vocal end in here. Not to say that Growth are not doing those with their music in the Tsuki Pro franchise, but these are two completely different groups that we should not compare, because LOLO-D sounds like Growth, but if Growth suddenly and by mistake entered an emo shop and then left with makeup all over them and feeling like an emo through and through. It's basically that. It sounds like more a transformation, not so fantastical like Growth are, but LOLO-D are really about their dreams, their dark dreams that have hopes and dreams underneath, but they are so fragile that really what you can see, what you can feel in their music is darkness, and you have a sense of being lost but found at the same time. It is really, really odd, and that oddity about their music and the feelings that you get with their music is something that really attracts me a lot. As you may have watched, I was quite excited about that CD. I am still quite excited about this CD, and it's been a long time since that recording happened, so I believe that you and I agree that this album is amazing. Yes, of course, I would love for more people to love LOLO-D. Will more people love the group? I do not know. I dare say their music is even better than the most popular 2D music groups out there. And I'm a fan of some of those big 2D groups out there. So I speak from experience and from my exposure to their music versus this music. LOLO-D are doing really amazing things, unique things, truly unique things, and I believe they deserve your attention. But enough about what I think about this CD, of course. I want to know what you think or what you thought about this CD. So if you listen to LOLO-D's Déjà Vu, which is your favorite song? What did you feel about this album? I know that I haven't listened to the drama tracks, so I'm behind the story. I do not know what is happening in the story, and please do not spoil me that in the comments, because I intend to dive into the story, so I want to really go fresh into it. And, well, share your love for LOLO-D in the comments, because I seldom see it. There are some people that eventually and sometimes appear in here and there, and that they are really excited about me talking about LOLO-D. I see you, I hear you, and of course I reply to you, but I would love to see more people actually excited about this group and showing that they love them in the comments. That's all from my end, of course. Let me know in the comments on YouTube and Spotify what you think about this album. And remember, leave your comments as complex or as simple as they may be, and you can be featured on upcoming episodes of SEIYUU Lounge. If you enjoyed this episode and don't want to miss the Handed Feeds HQ's weekly male SEIYUU and music-related content, hit the subscribe button. And if you are listening to this episode on a podcast listening platform, please consider following the podcast and leaving a review. Leaving a review is really simple and helps other people find this podcast and fall in love with male SEIYUU artists and 2D groups. I'll return next week with another episode of SEIYUU Lounge. Thank you for listening, and see you guys around.